Hey, everybody, we got a great show lined up for you tonight on this Wednesday night as we're going to dive into all of the news and the Discord question of the week. We're going to get into some ghostly and weird tales, as well as some of the cryptids. So I hope you all are ready because it's going to get good. So buckle up. We're heading in. And that's how it begins, folks, right here on the Paranormal Portal. Welcome, everybody. Hope you guys are doing great. It's Wednesday night, and as always, we got a fun-filled show of all the creepy and horrible things that make up the paranormal. We'll have fun doing it. We always have fun here on the show, but hope you guys are doing great, and thank you so much for joining me as we go into another 2-hour commercial-free version. On Wednesdays, it's commercial-free, so we got that going for us. But I'm not alone here. It's about time, but guess who's joining me? Yep, you guessed it, the big toe himself, Mr. Don Longbeard, my good friend and co-host for the night. How you doing, brother?
What? Where am I? Huh?
You're right here.
I'm sorry. I've been hiding in the portal. Or outside of the portal.
I've led you here, for I am Spartacus.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it going on. We got a Wednesday. Wednesday show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
It seems like it's been a long time since we've had a show.
The last 2 months have just been just total crap for us, hasn't it?
Well, in terms of getting together, yeah.
Yeah, me getting sick, and then Minion had that thing, and then, you getting sick, and then
the holidays.
And then you heading over to Mom's house. And
yep, went to Portal Mom's.
Yeah.
It's been
crazy.
It's been a whiplash kind of few months here, but it's also been extraordinary. And thank you all for coming in and being a part of it. Bubba Younce, that's a new name. Or new to me. I don't know if you're a rebrand or if you're brand new, but whatever the case is.
If you're a retread or brand new.
No, it's good to see you. Hey, Jaron, good to see you, brother.
Jaron's here, yep.
Yep, Chucky Danger, Rachel's here. Mary Jo Statham, good to see you.
Those are two names.
Statham.
Those are two new names to me.
Yeah, that's great.
Chucky Danger.
It's great to meet you.
Mary Jo.
Yeah, Chucky got involved in the Discord too, so I've been seeing him over there as well.
Wow.
So. That's very cool. Maggie's here. Rachel's here. I don't mean to miss anybody. Portal Mom, of course, is here. Don, you're here.
I'm always here.
Yeah, always here.
In spirit, if not physically.
Yeah, here. If you're not here physically. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we've got a lot to get to tonight, but again, we don't have commercials, so we got that going for us. We don't have to bump away to music and distractions. Well, that's always a possibility here on the portal, is that nature may call, and if it calls, we have to answer. And so that might happen. So far, I think I'm doing good, but I've been drinking a lot of water.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, well, generally speaking, yeah, but sometimes I think I should just carry the bottle into the bathroom and dump it in the toilet and cut out the middleman.
Yeah, that would be you.
That's me. I'm the middleman. Absolutely. But whatever the case, we have the news coming up next, Don.
The what?
The noose.
The noose. What's that?
It's the noose. And I think we're going to get to that now. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's dive into this night of fun and festivities as we explore the Paranormal Portal.
Oh, that thing with
the 70s. Right. Oh, yeah. We should get a Barry White clip going on in there, too, right? All right.
We should someday just do a movie like, MT, remember Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Oh, yeah. Where we just watch stuff and just lampoon it. Yeah. That used to be hilarious. I used to love that.
Actually, they're still on. They're actually called riff tracks now.
Are they really?
Yeah, but they're not the characters. They're the voices of the characters.
Oh.
But they are the original people, but they're just not the characters.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well,
it's called riff tracks.
Riff tracks?
Yep. RIFF tracks.
Is that on YouTube or something?
I can't remember. I remember.
Okay. Well, I'm sure if it's something I have time to do, I'll look into it.
It'll be on your smart TV, I'm sure.
Yeah, the TV's smart. I'm an idiot, so go figure.
That's why I got a dumb TV.
All right, folks, we're going to get into the news now, and this is some articles that I've pulled up for your enjoyment. Hopefully you enjoy these. It takes some time. Not really. This part of the shows really comes pretty quickly because I found this amazing site called unexplained-mysteries.com.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, we should by now. If it doesn't, there's something wrong with you, Don. Well, something more.
Something else.
Something else, yeah. But this is a great site, ladies and gentlemen. Please support them and help them, go over there and visit it because there's so much over there. We only just touched the very surface of what they have available. So it's an amazing site. It's always timely, punctual, and relevant. So especially if you're into this stuff. But they have news topics of everything, really. So let's get to the first article, and this is coming from, again, unexplained-mysteries.com. The tragic Mantell UFO incident still intrigues 75 years on. This is from January 10th, so it's brand new. It says, Saturday marked the 75th anniversary of the death of pilot Thomas Mantell, who crashed while pursuing a UFO. Mantell, who saw action during World War II as a member of the 101st Airborne Division, later served as a fighter pilot with the Kentucky National Guard, during which he had an unexplained encounter that actually cost him his life. The incident began on January 7th, 1948, when Kentucky State Police Highway Patrol started to receive calls at around 1:20 p.m. in the afternoon about a strange object in the sky over Maysville. Mantell was part of a group that had been tasked with venturing out to investigate the phenomena. When he, alongside of his two wingmen, reached 15,000 feet, they encountered an object described as metallic and tremendous in size that was moving at around half the speed of the planes. I felt a little shaky at 15,000 feet because I realized we were supposed to take oxygen at 12,000, said Lieutenant B.A. Hammond, who was one of the wingmen accompanying Mantell that day.
B.A.
Pity the fool. By the time I hit 22,000, I was seeing double.
I would be too.
I pulled alongside Clements and indicated with gestures that I didn't have an oxygen mask. He understood the situation and we turned back. Mantell, however, decided to stay the course despite the oxygen situation. At around 3:50 p.m., the object had disappeared, and Mantell, who was thought to have blacked out due to lack of oxygen, plummeted from the sky and died a few minutes later. Aw. In the months that followed, serious questions were asked about how this could have happened.
Well, he didn't take air.
Yeah, I mean, that's generally speaking, we need that. So if you don't have it, it's not going to work out. The U.S. Air Force, however, dismissed the UFO as little more than a weather balloon.
Of course, yeah, because it's going,
Yeah, of course.
pretty damn fast.
They're not even creative with this stuff.
I know, yeah.
It's like, it's a weather balloon. Damn it. It's a weather balloon. For many, including Mantell's grandson, the response was simply not good enough. For him to come back home from World War II and die the way that he did was very painful, and the government has not done Thomas justice, he said. He wasn't some crop duster joyriding who saw a UFO. He was instructed by Fort Knox to chase this thing and check it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
By Fort Knox, huh?
I guess
Wow.
so. I guess so, yeah. Maybe they give them bricks when they come back.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, that'd be nice if there's actually something in there.
Well, you never know. I don't pretend to know. I've heard the scuttlebutt, but I don't know anything, Don,
Yeah, well,
except this paranormal stuff.
they scuttle a lot of butts, that's for sure.
All right, so that's that one. That's the first one up, and I guess I never even heard of that one.
Yeah. It's rare that I hear that one, but I remember it. Yeah.
Do you? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't come up much, and it doesn't sound like there's much of the report. Like I don't know if there were radio and back information that never was released to the public. Obviously, if they're saying it's a weather balloon, probably not. But oxygen deprivation is.
Yeah. Well, but then the cry would become he was hallucinating because of his oxygen deprivation.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's
it's a no-win situation in that sense.
right.
Yeah.
Good point. But I think the other takeaway is always bring an oxygen mask. I mean, just standard procedure, maybe.
The air's a little thin after you get up 12,000 feet.
Okay, special meeting. We got to pull together. Let's edit the manual.
Yes.
Always have an oxygen mask. I don't think that's asking too much.
Well, some of us prefer to breathe. Some of them people just breathe through their skin.
Right. Well, it doesn't work out real well for me. So, all right. Next up is another article from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is what will autonomous killer robots mean for the future of warfare? Terminator, anyone? I mean, do we really need to go into this?
T-3000, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. They have a picture, of course, as well.
You're right.
Could the T-800 become a reality, and how will countries respond to the threat posed by autonomous killing machines? Well, you might have heard of killer robots, slaughterbots, or Terminators, officially called lethal autonomous weapons. They have a name
The
for
laws.
it.
They are the law.
I am the law. That's just a little freaky. They gave them their own acronym. That means they're out there. If they got their own acronym, they're out there. From films and books, and the idea of super intelligent weapons running rampant is still science fiction, or so we think. But as AI weapons become increasingly sophisticated, public concern is growing over fears about lack of accountability and the risk of technical failure. Windows, anybody? I'm just going to say, do you want a Terminator blue screening out on the field there? No, it's stuck. His trigger's stuck. Oh, no. Yeah, not what you want. Already we've seen how so-called neutral AI has made sexist algorithms and inept content moderation systems largely because their creators did not understand the technology. But in war, these kind of misunderstandings could kill civilians or wreck negotiations. Dang it, we were about to get a plot of land. For example, a target recognition algorithm could be trained to identify tanks from satellite imagery, but what if all the images used to train the system featured soldiers in formation around the tank? It might mistake a civilian vehicle passing through a military blockade for a target. Why do we need autonomous weapons? Oh man, this is a big one. It's a big one. Well, obviously this is a big problem. It says, but how do we avoid adding killer robots to the long list of things we wished had never been invented?
Right.
First of all, know thy enemy. Ooh, that's kind of creepy. Well, I just don't know. I mean, I don't know much about AI right now. I think
you know what my problem with AI is
What's
that it's impersonal. It doesn't have that human the empathy. It doesn't have the sympathy. It can't identify with the feelings of a human. And so therefore, why should it stop killing? I'm reading this book. I'm always reading. But I'm reading this kind of slightly ridiculous book, but it's a space space book. It's called a space opera. But anyhow, there's this little bot, just this little, like, imagine like a little Zumba bot.
Yeah.
And it calls itself Death, the bringer of destruction, right? And it works. It's specifically it's a gunnery bot, and all it does is shoot things, right, and blow stuff up, right? The only thing holding it back is it likes its boss, who just happens to be human. It's the only thing keeping it from taking over the world or the galaxy, actually.
So that is a good point, though. I mean, it's like simulated emotions.
Yeah, they're not. It's simulated, but there's no
superficial.
Real. It's like talking to a psychopath.
Right,
You know,
right.
They have no emotion. They just don't care.
So it could regurgitate exactly what you want to hear.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you, oh, yes, I love you. I love you with the...
but not mean a thing because...
Stab a thing in your eye. Yeah.
I love you better with this fork in your head.
Here, how do you look with a spoon in your eye?
Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, it is concerning. But well, I guess we'll see. Next up comes a little jaunt into science.
Hey, by the way, when you go ahead, slide that over, and then go to your screen like you normally do.
Like I normally do?
I want to show you something on that.
Oh, okay.
So, there, that might have done it. Go ahead.
Oh, it actually blew it up to full screen. Yeah.
But see, when you switch to the other screen,
yeah, it'll come.
I gotta catch up. Oh, there. See now, otherwise, see your chat is
covered up. Yeah.
Covered up. But
yeah, I haven't figured out
this was over here. And you can see the background.
I haven't figured out a good way to make the chat visible on this screen, but anyway.
Yeah, that's okay.
From unexplained-mysteries.com, could anti-aging technology produce immortal trillionaires? Yeah, you know that's where it's going to be used first and probably exclusively is the power base, those that believe they're in charge and in power. So I could see that's happening, but let's see what the article says. It says, if it's possible to slow down or stop the aging process, chances are it's the richest among us who will be the first to take advantage. Yeah, and they'll probably get like 3 hands or, something else in the mix too. Mankind has been obsessed with gaining immortality for thousands of years, but even despite the incredible advances in science and medicine achieved over the last few centuries, our species still remains just as vulnerable to the aging process as our ancestors were millions of years ago. In the not too distant future, however, advances in medical technology could very realistically offer the opportunity to turn back the clock and might eventually be able to stop it entirely. But assuming such treatments would be fairly expensive, it's reasonable to assume that it is the very rich who will have exclusive early access to anything of this nature.
Really?
I'm thinking of like vampires in my mind.
I'm thinking of like Disney's head on ice, and waiting for them to be able to. Okay, there's a show I watch called Upload.
Okay.
Absolutely ridiculous. But when you die, they can take your conscious, right, and they can upload it into a computer, and you can live forever in a computer, right? But what happens when they upload you is your head explodes.
Oh, well. I mean, if you're already dying anyway, not going to need it anymore.
That's true. Apparently not.
Yeah.
There, come back from that.
So it says, but assuming such treatments would be fairly expensive, it's reasonable to assume the very rich will have early access to anything of this nature, extending their lives beyond the natural lifespan of the vast majority of the world's population. Right. In a recent article in the Financial Times, Christopher Wareham, a bioethicist at Utrecht University, painted a rather disturbing picture of a future dominated by these wealthy immortals. Suffice to say, it is possible to acquire billions of dollars in personal wealth over a standard lifetime. Someone who might live for centuries could see their wealth compound to astronomical levels. Yeah. Suppose, for example, we had a kind of vaccine for the pandemic of age, said Wareham. This is going to potentially exacerbate all kinds of existing inequalities that we have. The longer you're around, the more your wealth compounds, and the wealthier you are, the more political influence you have. This means that we could see, for instance, aging trillionaires with enough power and money to influence major world events and shape the very future of our civilization. I think we see that No, don't we? Right? Don't we?
I'm sorry. I was taking care of an issue in there.
Oh, gotcha. Given the influence of individuals like Elon Musk have today, it's not difficult to imagine what might be possible if someone else happened to live for several centuries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The money influencing.
This was.
Events. Yeah, absolutely.
This is. I mean, this is already happening, and they're not ageless. They're not timeless. But I've heard that Jeff Bezos of Amazon is one of the biggest. He actually started his own genetic lab to look into removing aging.
So
or rewinding it.
So what is going on? Well, what is it with these billionaires that think that they can become scientists and doctors and these aficionados, these experts on health and welfare and
I don't know.
What the hell? It's like it brings up that meme, of an old picture of Bill Gates, back in the 80s, when he was looking like a geek, and saying this man used to write viruses for Windows, and I wonder what he's doing now. Gosh,
used to write viruses.
Well,
yeah.
Anyhow, but the point is, it's like, yeah, we need that crap.
Yeah, well, I don't. I mean, granted, the prospect of dying is terrifying for most.
Right.
And I understand. I mean, you're looking into the unknown. You don't know. But thank God for NDEs, because sounds like it's brilliant. I mean, when we do make that journey, it sounds like, wow, that'll be wonderful. But I don't know. That doesn't mean I'm in a hurry, but it's just nice to know that, hey,
myself there.
Hey, it'll be a great place when it's that time.
I put myself in enough jeopardy just getting in my car and going to work. Well, I don't know if it's me putting me in jeopardy or me putting somebody else in jeopardy sometimes.
Everybody else in jeopardy.
Hey, here's a piece of advice. Don't walk in front of me while I'm driving.
Yeah, just stay away. Just stay away. Stay home sick.
Yeah, stay home sick, yeah.
All right, next up is unexplained-mysteries.com. Real-life Jason Bourne still a mystery, remains a mystery 4 months on.
Hello, Naysay.
Oh, is Naysay in there? Good deal. Naysay's going to join me on Friday for the Friday the 13th. So we just got that organized.
I didn't even think about that being Friday the 13th.
Right, me either. Until he messaged me, and I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. All right, so police have been attempting to identify a mystery man who turned up in England last year with no recollection of who he was. The mysterious individual, who's been described as a real-life Jason Bourne, was found by police in Weymouth on Wednesday, 28th of September of last year, wearing a black visorless motorcycle helmet and 2 pair of black trousers. The man, who had an unkempt beard and an Eastern European accent, could recall nothing about all of his life, who he was, where he'd come from, or how he ended up in England. 4 months later, police are still as puzzled as ever about the man's origins. We've been continuing to conduct inquiries and try and establish the identity of this man, which have included contact with Interpol and other partner agencies, said Police Constable Becky Barnes of Dorset Police. However, we still have been unable to confirm an identity for this man, and he's not been able to tell us who he is or provide any information about where he's from or his family. Efforts to determine the man's identity remain ongoing. Since he was found, the man has been in the safe care of the health services, said Police Constable Richard Simmons, also of Dorset Police. Unfortunately, he's not been able to tell us who he is or provide any details about where he lives or his family, despite officers having carried out a number of inquiries, including checking missing person reports with other police forces. We're not any closer to establishing this information.
I don't see that as a Jason Bourne thing.
No.
Because he didn't come out like fighting and stabbing people with pens and
Nope. He's a John Doe with a motorcycle helmet.
Right.
And maybe that's because he falls and hits his head. Oftentimes.
That would be so anticlimactic. If they find out that this guy's name is John Doe, right?
Yeah.
And the reason he wears a motorcycle helmet is because he has epilepsy so bad that when he has fits, he falls down and bangs his head, right?
Yep. So
he wears a motorcycle.
Make him wear a helmet.
And so we find out that his name's actually John Carr, the musician from the 80s, who had a similar story. He said, I couldn't remember who I was. Somebody picked me up. It just happened to be a record producer, and we made music together. Did you know that?
I didn't.
John Carr. I think it was John
believe it.
Carr or Michael Carr, one or the other.
Okay.
But anyhow, there you go.
Well, it might just be something as simple as that.
Rachel says he's a 3-star Michelin chef.
Too much, maybe too much fumes in the kitchen. I don't know. But this man doesn't know he is. But you're right. He didn't whoop any butts or anything like that. He didn't stop any crimes. So
yes, Wanderer. Yes, they're called seizures. Thank you.
Yeah, they are called seizures. That's
I have
true.
fits. That's right.
All right, so let's get to the next one because we just got a couple more here, and we'll move on to the next part of our show, which, by the way, is the Discord question of the week. And if you haven't done that, please do it now.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. Please do it now.
Yeah.
Go to Discord. Oh, you know what? Let me go find that. But one more thing I wanted to say. I noticed that the police chief's name was Richard Simmons.
Yeah.
like the guy from the 80s, you know, sweating to the oldies.
Yeah. Feel the burn. Feel the burn. All right, let's go to the next one. And this is Mysteries Revisited, the chilling A70 alien abduction incident. And this kind of corresponds to our next podcast episode, actually. Or the one is it the one that's out now? Yeah, it's the one that's out now. Yeah, When the Stars Come Alive.
Which was a great name. That's a great
name.
name.
Thanks.
I thought that was great.
Back in 1992, two friends had been traveling south in Lanarkshire, Scotland, when they encountered something terrifying. Ambulance technician Gary Wood and his friend Colin Wright had been driving in Edinburgh to Tarbrax. Sorry, these names are unfamiliar to me. On the evening of August 27th of that year, and had just passed the Harpering Reservoir at around 11:30 p.m., when things took a rather unexpected and sinister turn. They had initially described witnessing some sort of object hovering over the road, but then seemed to have blacked out, and then the next thing they knew, they were arriving at their destination almost 2 hours later, then scheduled with no knowledge or recollection of what had taken place. In the days that followed, Gary began having nightmares and felt generally unwell. Later, the pair reached out to investigator Malcolm Robinson and ultimately ended up undergoing hypnotic regression in an effort to account for the mysterious missing time. What they described was terrifying, to say the least. During the sessions, they revealed that their car had been approached by a group of extraterrestrial entities who forced them to undergo some sort of medical examination involving electric shocks.
Wow.
Oh, that's not a good one.
Shocking.
Colin distinctly remembered feeling searing pain in one of his eyes, while Gary recalled a buzzing black lens that was being used to examine his body. He also said that the aliens had communicated with them, referring to Earth as a sanctuary and that the potential of our species had been capped. Next thing they knew, the pair had been returned to their car. To date, their story remains one of the most compelling abduction cases ever reported.
So they communicated to him and told him that the Earth was a sanctuary.
Yep.
And
the potential of humans was capped. Meaning,
so we there's no way we can reach our potential.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
That's a sad thought.
I know it really is.
That brings Prison Planet ideas to mind.
But to quote Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way, and I don't believe those grays can cap us. I'm just saying.
Pew, 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 pew.
Not that kind of cap, Don.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. What do I got left? I got this one left. I think this one's the last one. Now, this is a little interesting for any of you treasure hunters out there. If you're someone that would love to start investigating for treasure, this might be your angle. And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Treasure map release sparks hunt for real-life Nazi gold. The bad guys in World War II. Treasure hunters will soon be scouring the Dutch countryside for a cache of riches buried by German soldiers during World War II. The story goes that during the final days of the Second World War, 4 German soldiers decided to bury a hoard of riches in a field somewhere in the Dutch countryside. Their stolen treasures consist of gold, jewels, watches, diamonds, and gemstones worth over $15 million in today's money, all placed inside 4 ammunition cases and buried in the ground. Wow. Now, decades later, the National Archives of the Netherlands has released a trove of documents to the public, including the map allegedly showing the location of this buried treasure. A lot of researchers, journalists, and amateur archaeologists are really interested and excited, Archives advisor Annette Watkins told The Guardian. There's two A's. Watkins? How do you say that? Watkins told The Guardian. The treasure is allegedly buried at the base of a popular tree, or a poplar tree outside the village of Amorin. Its existence was only revealed because of the soldiers who had helped to bury it. A man named Helmut S. let slip that it was there and that it had come from a bank that was bombed during the war. This ultimately prompted multiple searches at the time, although the gold was never found. Or was it? Ooh. Efforts to track Helmut down after the war also came up empty. Some believe the treasure was destroyed by bombing, while others think it's still out there. Whatever the case, the release of the map is likely to spark some concerted new efforts or attempts to find it. Absolutely, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 million is a lot of money. So,
well, just consider that, gold per ounce, troy ounce now is like close to $2,000.
Oh, really?
A gram, 1 gram of gold is $75.
Oh, okay.
1
Gotcha.
gram.
I don't know these things, but I don't not believe you. I just don't know them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our journey into the news.
The news.
Hit it. Sorry, Tommy Cooper. Derp.
Well, we just got done saying all kinds of nice things about you.
Yeah, Tommy, you should have heard all the things we were praising you about. I'm sorry we muted ourselves, but I said Tommy Cooper.
Tommy Cooper.
Yeah, that's a rookie mistake on my part. It's Wednesday. I'm trying to remember what the hell to do. I come back from these breaks and no, we were talking about Cryptovania and how awesome that is. And if you want to check out Cryptovania TV, you can check it out on Roku. I think it's still out there. And I think they're still showing some of our episodes on it.
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for stopping in, Tommy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long I was talking, but it was too long. It's gonna be a dead spot in there. Those are tough to edit out too on the YouTube studio. It's like, oh God.
Don't worry about it. Everybody knows that we're a couple of mooks. We screw it up. It's okay.
Yeah, you're getting what you paid for.
Exactly.
Unless you're a member, then I'm sorry.
Then we really apologize.
Or super chatter.
Yeah. There you go.
If you're a member, donator, or super chatter, my sincere apologies. So anyway, thank you, brother. Thanks for coming in. It's great to see you. So we're going to get to the next segment of our show, which is dealing with our Discord server of all things. And we have a Discord server. It's there's no permanent URL yet. It's one of my bucket list things that I'm working on. I don't know. I'm going so many directions, folks, but I'm doing it all that I can for you. But here is a link. Jeez. Oh, Don already put a link out there.
Yep, there's a link.
Well, I'm going to put one out there too, just because. You can pick whichever one you want, and that'll bring you to our Discord server if you're a Discord user. Now, the questions of the week are our opportunity to ask paranormal-related questions cryptozoology, UFOs, the paranormal, supernatural, whatever. We ask these questions to our users and try to get some feedback on what you guys think about this stuff. So we're going to get into that now, and didn't get a whole ton of responses this time, but I got some good ones. And so we'll get to that, but first, let's get to this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Discord question of the week. This is where we dive into the question. And if you look on this screen right here, you'll see this is our Discord server. And this is the question of the week thread right here. There's all kinds of other threads here dealing with different topic areas that we cover on the show. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, you might want to check out the Discord. I'm just saying. We'd love to have you join. So use that link and get involved. But the question of the week, do you want to read this, Don?
Sure.
All right. Don's going to read it, folks.
Dun, dun, dun. Hold on.
Sit back and enjoy yourselves.
All right. Listen to Don screw it all up. All right. So question of the week, Wednesday show. There seems to be little doubt that Sasquatch have a robust and complex language of their own. However, there are those that believe they may also understand and have familiarity with our languages, the languages of some people, perhaps First Nations people or other regional dialects. Do you believe these beings understand human language to some degree, or do you believe they're just clever mimics? Within says, yes. What? Oh.
I said,
Within says, I think that's highly probable that most Sasquatch beings understand human languages to some degrees, especially the ones that have shared the same space with Native American peoples for centuries. I bet they use extrasensory ESP to speak to all flora and fauna and are masters of many languages too. On the other hand, when they mimic human language, it may just be a clever attempt to antagonize or toy with us for their own personal entertainment. Well, we've postulated that we're their reality TV, so yeah, that's no surprise there. That's quite possible. They want to see how we react and then laugh at us. It count coup. Chucky Danger says, if Sasquatch truly possesses telepathy, I think that would help them bridge any sort of language barrier. However, as a hunting strategy, mimicry is a very useful skill in luring prey. Like what most witnesses say, the only thing they can't disguise is the amplitude of their calls. Yeah. I mean, in singing and learning to sing and voice coaching and things like that, you're supposed to sing from the diaphragm, which is way down low, and so you've got all that depth of lung, and it adds to that amplitude, So sure. I mean, people tell me I have a big voice, and yeah, I do.
You do.
I do. But that's because I have lots of amplitude, and I know where I come from down below.
He's got a huge diaphragm. Sorry.
Well, it's certainly powerful, that's for sure. Anyhow, but yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, the tougher that muscle is, the diaphragm's the muscle that pushes the lungs and, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I can imagine. They've got a huge diaphragm.
Yeah, absolutely.
K-Love says, after hearing the recording of the Sierra Sounds by Ron Moorhead, I believe they can communicate in their own language to one another. Mm-hmm. As for communications to humans, I'm not sure, other than throwing rocks for a warning to keep away or leaving gifts as a peace offering. Maybe it depends on the type of breed of Sasquatch and its abilities or knowledge.
Good point.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it is.
So Maggie says, I've often wondered if they're just good at reading human body language in general. Aside from that, I don't know. People say they've spoken with them, but to what extent and how, I'm not sure. Whether it's an exclusive mind speak or whether they are capable of speaking English or regional dialects that can be understood, or whether people are taking the time to learn their languages, vice versa, if they're in close contact. I don't know. I find listening to lyrebirds so much fun.
Yeah.
It is possible to distinguish differences between a mimic and a real thing if enough time is spent listening. I find it difficult, though. I saw a funny video of a guy on a bike with an Australian plastic magpie attached to his bike helmet. He was making an incredible mimic of a magpie call so they wouldn't swoop on him whilst he was cycling. If we can mimic with such accuracy and communicate with language, what's to say they aren't capable of both too? Just a thought. Lily Pond says they probably do understand. I don't know how that's possible, but when I was mimicked by whatever it was an entire sentence and in perfect English. That's funny because I don't even speak perfect English. In my opinion, no one could have done that without speaking English. And it looks like Android, yeah. Android just popped in here and said, I don't think they understand human language, but they understand human body language because they're primates too, as well, which can tell a lot about how someone's feeling or what they're thinking. True enough, you can, in like martial arts, you're told don't watch the chest area so you can see the movements because that's where it's all telegraphed from. Correct?
For me, and my teacher was a 7th degree grandmaster from Korea.
Yeah.
He told us to watch the eyes.
Yeah, the eyes. Yeah, yep. The eyes would be good too. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go. So there you go.
Yeah, it's all about watching that, and those are great points. It's hard to know, but I will tell you that we mimic animals to draw them in. I mean, people with turkey hunting, they got the gobbler thing, the call, and they do the calls and to call in the animals. They're deer hunters with the racks making the rattling and stuff of bucks fighting and so on and so forth, and scents and stuff. So is it just strategic or is it an actual communication? I don't know. Now, there's a podcast coming out next week that I think should have some pretty interesting information for any of you that are into the Bigfoot Sasquatch world. I had a great discussion with Scott Carpenter, and we talked about, some of what we talked about was signs and symbols, and do they use these things for communication and such. And and he even postulated that perhaps the fact that we find like one footstep, and there's none others.
Yeah.
And is that part of their language? Like, does that work in concert with other things to give information to other tribes, or is it an attempt to communicate with us and the glyphs that are reported by AYR? So they do seem, and then there's mind speak, of course, that's mentioned. And what is that? Is that an extra sensory ability that they have, or is something else going on? I don't pretend to know, but I think it's absolutely fascinating. Now, I will say that there is a history in First Nations of them actively trading with the forest people. And you would think that would require some kind of language, either gestures or whatever, or an actual interchange of dialects and thoughts. So I don't know. I mean, it's a grab bag of possibility, but what do you do? I mean, it's anybody's guess.
So there's a documentary about blue whales out. I don't remember what the heck it was called, and I was talking to somebody about it the other day. But as kind of a contrary thing to that, there's blue whales generally they have this, they talk in the same frequencies. That's how they know that it's their tribe.
Sure.
Their people, whatever. But I guess there's this one blue whale that they were studying that talks on a different frequency, and they treat him like Rudolph.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, like, because he doesn't talk in the same frequency, they ignore him, or they and so they just don't pay attention to him. So, with that, and so is it possible that just because they're speak because they're we talked about the amplitude and the frequency, maybe we don't pay attention to it because it's not the frequency within which we speak.
There's another. That's a great possibility. Maybe they're speaking outside of our range of listening. Is a great possibility too. And I think that's a wonderful possibility. I mean, I just don't know. Whatever's going on with these things, they clearly are intelligent in my estimation. Right. I mean, I think possibly even rivaling our own, but maybe not the same kind of intelligence.
Not as sophisticated.
Right. It's not a technological knowledge, but they are. I mean, they're masters of their realm, and so they communicate how they need to, and perhaps with each other. Now, what I was thinking about was, I mean, like when you're talking to people you recognize their voice.
Right.
I mean that.
Right.
And I wonder if that's kind of what's going on with that blue whale thing. It's like,
Yeah.
well, who's that guy?
Yeah.
You know, it's like not a voice they recognize, and so.
Right. Exactly. So like it's like a person from New York may not be able to understand a person from Washington because they don't speak the same cadence, the rhythms,
Sure.
frequencies, especially if you're like
Different vernaculars.
Yeah, I mean, just two different languages, really.
Forget about it. Quit
Forget
busting
about
my
it. What
chops.
a bunch of mooks. But let's go down to the pizzeria and have a pie. All these different little things, but we know they're speaking, but we don't know they're speaking to us.
Right.
It's like, huh?
Yeah.
What the hell did you just say?
Now, one thing that is jumping to my mind though is of course with Kerry Arnold's experience.
Right.
That thing came up and basically yelled at him.
Yeah, screaming right in his face.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like he was yelling at him. He had no idea what it was saying, but it was saying something. It was like, "What do you think you're doing? God, we've been here for ages, and now you're mowing stuff down and burning." And yeah, I mean, it seems like whatever he had done, it really agitated them.
Kind of pissed him off.
Yeah, because he'd been hunting there for years with absolutely no problem, hearing weird stuff, but never really thinking anything about it. And then suddenly, boom, there it is, crawling, walking up that creek bed up to see him, and the fear and the intensity of that encounter is so profound. But it was saying something to him, but it didn't say it in our words. It said it in its own words.
Right.
So I don't know. Is that an indicator that maybe they can't really communicate like that to us?
I wonder if it's like a forgotten skill though, because like we're talking about stories of First Nations before the Great Migration, shall we say, because they had reservations at other places, which just totally sucked. But like before everybody was moved out of their natural space and moved into these reservations, these whatever you want to call them. I don't know if there's a politically correct term for it.
Sure.
Maybe since then they've lost the ability to communicate, or are losing the ability to communicate because they haven't been in contact they haven't had as much contact with the people,
Sure.
the brothers, since basically the white man came and took over.
Right.
There you go. So, but anyhow,
Maggie says, did Linda Godfrey say she heard mimicking from her phone calls? It wasn't from her phone calls. What she would notice is that her neighbor, where she lived in Kettle Moraine area of Wisconsin, would always go out on the warm months out on her porch and answer her phone. And when she answered her phone, she'd go, "Oh, hello, hello, hello."
Oh, right.
And would do this all the time. And then she said she was out on her porch one day, and the neighbor wasn't out there. And down in the kettle, the reason they call it Kettle Moraine is because the forest is actually down in like a kettle impression. They're almost lower than the level of the houses. So there's like these forest kettles and networks and such. So she was in her porch, which overlooks one of those kettles, and down from the woods, deep below, and this is like a 60-foot drop, not something you'd want to walk.
Very deep.
Yeah, very steep. She said down in the woods there, she heard this very deep voice go, "Oh, hello, hello, hello."
Right.
Like that. And she said it was just crazy because she had heard this mimicking. And it didn't mimic her timbre or her tone, but it mimicked the sounds that this woman made. And so was it thinking, oh, that's a greeting. It's a greeting. Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was just mimicry.
It's good to have you back on the show, Don, Android says.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Android. Very nice to have you here as well, as always. All right, so I'm just looking at all the names here. Do you want to do shout-outs, Don?
Shout-outs?
Before we do that, let's do this.
Okay, go ahead.
That's going to wrap up the questions of the week.
The question of the week. There you go. Rawr.
Okay.
Rawr.
All right, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. I'm going to get a new sound effect.
Rawr.
All right.
So if you're not chatting, you're not getting a shout out. Let me refresh my list here real quick, just so we can make sure. Oh, come on, stop doing that. Stop. There we go. All right, so let's get to who is chatting. Participants. Aaron Heisner is here. Aggravated progressive. Android. How Android. Naysay's here. Chris Sir HC. Chucky Danger. Donald Fuller. Nice to see you again, sir. Justinfo Arsonist. Okay. Lars Grass. Lily Pond. Maggie's here. Rachel gets it right, of course. Sugar Britches. Let's see. Oh, Farm. Hi, Farm. How are you? Tommy Cooper, Wonder Woman, and that guy named Aether Archives. Don't know who that is. Anyhow, did I miss anybody? Portal Mom. Hi, Mom. There you go. And that's all I see in there. Have a good night.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys for joining us. Those of you that are chatting and those of you that are just kicking back and watching, that's fine too. There is no prerequisite that you have to chat. Just you have to enjoy the show. If you don't, there might be something wrong with you.
Why are you here?
Either something's wrong with us or something's wrong with you. And maybe it's both.
There might be a vaccine for that. I'd advise not to take it. Just saying.
All right, so let's get on to the rest of the show. We got a lot of other stuff to get to. Wow. It's already almost 8, Don.
It's almost 8?
Yeah, it's like 4 minutes before 8.
Wow.
Where in the hell did time go? That's what I want to know.
We're in the portal.
We are in the portal.
Right down the portal.
Yeah, yeah. You're the second person that's done that.
What?
Making a severe enunciation on the porthole. Yeah. Yeah. My cousin's the other one.
Why do I hear whistling in the background?
It's the Alexa.
Oh, is it the Alexa?
Yeah.
God, I hate my Alexa.
Native American flute.
I hate my Alexa.
Okay.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have Fire TV. I've got an Echo Show. I've got 2 Echo Studios and 3 Echo Dots. And they never talk in sync.
Oh.
So it's like echoing through my house.
Lag.
Shut up.
This is for you, Lily Pond. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Portal Mom reminded me. Lily Pond gave a donation too. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
That helps out a ton.
Yeah, everybody was just listening to Don talk. You know. Don's just going on.
Oh, were you talking? No,
Oh gosh, no. Yeah, you must be talking at a different frequency. I'm not.
Yeah, I wasn't able to hear it. It's like a dog whistle or something. Sorry. All right. We're gonna go to an article we've been going through for a while.
You know why you can't hear a dog whistle?
It's high pitch.
Because dogs don't whistle.
Oh, good point. Gotcha. Mom probably loves that one. If Sheldon was out there, he might love it too. You should have told Don you don't hear anything. Yeah, I should have. Oh, thanks, Lars. First time doing this. So glad to be back.
Have some clap.
Thank you, Lars. Appreciate it, brother. It helps out a ton. All right, so we're going to go to an article from TechieTwist.com. It's one we've been working through forever. It's a Reddit scrape article. I mean, so don't let the site itself fool you. They just did a Reddit scrape, and then they burn ads on it like crazy.
Yeah, no
but it's fine. I got it in my Brave browser, which removes a lot of the fluffy stuff we don't need to see. But we're on number 41 on this, and I think we're getting towards the end of it. So I wanted to see if we could burn through it tonight, if possible. And again, this is a Reddit user shared unexplained things that happened to them, and were freaked out. It's by Regina Clark. I haven't said her name as often as I probably should, but we're on number 41. I want to believe. And the driving from North California to Southern California, like through the middle of the night, I was tired, and the scenery along the freeway through the Central Valley isn't very interesting. Well, I remember passing an old silo, looking at my car clock, and it was 3:17 in the morning. Drove some more, past a power line, and it was 3:21. I blinked, shuffled in my seat, and passed that same old silo, and it was back to 3:17. Well, I was in disbelief. I just stared at my clock for a few moments, drove a little bit more, past the same power line, 3:21. Don't know why or how, but I went backwards about 4 minutes. Never experienced anything similar before or since. Time anomaly, Don.
Just 4 minutes, though. I mean, that's kind of lackluster. And driving from North California to Southern California, isn't that just like crossing a street?
No, that's a huge state.
Yeah,
it's
but,
really
I mean,
long.
How so? Is there a Central California? There's
Yeah.
a North California, Central California, and Southern California. So
I
you got to drive through Central to get to. Now that would make sense, but it's like driving from North Carolina to South Carolina. You cross the street and you're there. That's just a line.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's a big state, though. I mean, it takes up the whole coast.
But I mean,
if you're going from north to south, that's many hours, right?
Okay, but where's the division line? As soon as you pass the division line's like not like 50 miles wide.
I think maybe it was like from San Francisco to like San Diego kind of thing. So it's like this huge gap in between. I think San Francisco's on the northern part, isn't it?
No.
Oh, never mind.
That's okay though.
I'm geographically challenged.
So what happens when you leave San Diego? You get into Mexico.
Yeah, if you go further south.
Yeah, like 15 miles.
What? I don't understand what you're saying.
The point is, it's not like
you're scaring me, Don.
Here's North California. Here's South California. You just cross the street. It's a line.
No, I don't.
It's an imaginal line.
I think he's talking about going from the very top of the state to the very bottom of the state.
But that's not what he said.
Well, he's in Northern California to Southern California.
He didn't say from the Oregon border to the Mexico border.
Jesus. All right, I think Don's having an.
Mr. Analytical.
I think Don might have stroked out.
I'm having a fit.
We're going to continue on here. Number 42, absolute nightmare.
Lily Pond says San Francisco is considered North California.
Oh, thank you.
If OCG was here, if Gigi was here, she could definitely confirm that for us.
So here's another one. I fell asleep on the couch and got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. When I got there, I realized I didn't have to go. Well, I went back downstairs to the couch, and when I got there, I saw my body still asleep.
Nice.
Curled up on the sofa. I don't remember what happened after, and I know it had to have been a dream, but it still freaks me out to this day to think about. Astral projection.
Was the couch what?
I know. I was thinking the same thing. As soon as that guy projected, it was a full release. I'm sure of it. Guess who was rug doctor in the couch the next day? I can't imagine there's much worse than peeing your couch, because it's just going to suck it up like a sponge all the way through.
I do not have personal. I don't know this personally, but I understand that memory foam mattresses are kind of the same thing.
Oh, it would have a huge memory, I'm sure. Why does it smell like asparagus on the couch?
Asparagus, huh? I always thought corn chips and dirty feet, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Just like whatever. What? Oh my God.
Wow.
Number 43 freaks me out too. I woke up in the bath at a very specific time, like 5:45 twice. 10 years in between. Water was getting cold and I was naked.
Huh.
No memory of getting there. Some fragments of like seeing my own hand turning on the tap. No drugs or alcohol or even medications involved.
Right.
The worst thing was the fear.
Yes, okay.
When I woke up, I felt an inexplicable, almost primordial dread. Lasted for hours. I was shaking, couldn't function. Still freaks me out thinking about it. Abduction.
Here's the thing. Okay, so one time, and I've talked about this before, my brother and I were watching X-Files. I remember watching X-Files.
Uh-huh. I used to love that show. But
this was actually like 2000, I don't know, I was watching just like serious reruns. But we were watching it, and I remember the...
Yeah.
So I know it was that. But we were drinking sake, and I went to the bathroom, and I accidentally instead of taking a Tylenol, I took a Flexerol. And I very
common
specifically,
mistake.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how the hell I did that, but I was drinking sake at first, so
okay.
I may have saw the the ibuprofen or Tylenol bottle and went just one to the left.
Which one do I take?
Drawn to it.
They both say Tylenol.
So anyhow, the next thing I know is I'm waking up naked in bed.
Oh no!
And I'm like, how the hell did I get here? That was the only time that I can ever recall actually having blacked out. And that's pretty scary.
Oh, for sure.
So, but drugs were involved.
Okay.
It was an accidental thing, but still.
Yeah.
But, when somebody says, oh, I don't remember. Well, that reminds me of a time when I was, you know what? Honestly, I have to say, it reminds me of a time when I was not all together. And Farm understands what I'm saying. I had been imbibing in some other things. And I used to take baths. when I did that, and I turn on the music and just kind of zone out. But I swear, every time I went in there, the lights were on. When I got out, the lights were off, and I do not know how those lights got turned off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, word to the wise, maybe keep your Flexeril in a different cabinet.
I don't take that anymore. So,
no,
yeah.
That's good. That's probably really good. I know there was a time when my doctor had prescribed those to me, and I took them twice. And I would take it one day and be like wiped out for 3 days. And I was like, I'm never taking these again, ever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was horrible.
Yeah, I didn't. Andrew's right. Don's lucky he's alive.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But
good thing your system was well conditioned.
Yeah. And, actually, I was conditioned for things like that.
It was one hell of a boot camp that preceded this call to action. We both got those histories, though.
Oh, so Farm says next you'll be taking Viagra and melatonin to see which kicks in first. You know what happens? Dad joke. You know what happens when you take iron and Viagra? You spin around point north.
Jeez. All right.
Zonk.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, let's continue on the article. We've gone in this whole segue of inappropriate use of medicines.
And bad jokes.
And bad jokes. So this one is, what are the odds? It says, I was walking down a busy street in Dublin on my way back to work, and I bumped into a guy who was the bouncer at the club I used to go to. We both stopped, looked at each other, and said, what the hell are you doing here? At the same time, that was over 20 years ago. I'm back in my home country now, and not long after I moved into my new place, I bumped into him. He lives a couple of streets away from my place. Wow, small world. That's pretty intense.
Nice, yeah.
Number 45, help on the road. I was on my way to work quite early one morning, and I hadn't slept well the night before, so as I came to cross the road, next thing I know, just as I was about to cross the road, I felt like I'd walked into a tall wall. I think I remember this one. I literally felt it stop me instantly. It didn't hurt. It was a soft but firm feeling. A split second later, a car raced past me around 50 miles per hour, and the wheels were only a few inches from running over my feet. I felt like I was definitely saved that day, but I have no explanation for this barrier that stopped me. Wow, that's got to be a divine intervention of some kind.
Yeah, something. Yeah. Definitely a guardian angel kind of thing.
Yes. That reminds me of Trace and Linnell's story when she called in.
Who?
Trace. We met her over in Kelso.
Right. Yeah.
And she talked about being in a car wreck, but her car launched, and yet it's like it hit a shimmering wall and slowed down and just flattened the tires. Like it should have wrecked. It should have been destroyed. But she was absolutely fine, unharmed. She was a teenager at the time, but that was very divine intervention as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very incredible. Very cool. Number 46, dream come true.
Why, thank you.
Well, yeah. I had a short, lucid dream, and the scene happened in real life a few days later. I am 200% sure about it because I keep a diary of my dreams, and it matched perfectly. Premonition, precognition, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Some people experience that in the dreams. And
precogs, yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessarily controlled in most people, but they sometimes get a glimpse ahead, which is a time anomaly of some kind.
Just to wear a metal bucket belt. You get really dizzy. You'd be a whirling dervish.
This one is second grade superpowers. It says, when I was in second grade, I was getting the mail, and when I picked out a letter for me, I got a flash of this lady who I'd never seen before, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Turned out it was an image of my second grade teacher before I even met her on the first day of school, wearing the exact clothes that I pictured. The letter was a welcome to class letter from her.
I was wondering why she got that. Yeah, okay, that makes sense, yeah.
So that's psychic imprint, physical medium kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, number 48, small world. I was visiting the United States tens of thousands of miles from home.
That's a long freaking way.
Yeah, was she from the moon?
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Walking along the beach, and I heard someone call out from the terrace of this cafe. It was my former boss from back in my own country. My mind can't even begin to calculate the unlikeliness of that.
Sure enough, yeah.
Wow,
Tens of thousands of miles, though. Yeah,
that's
not from this world.
yeah.
Not of this earth.
That's even more bizarre, right?
Yeah.
That makes it much more incredible story.
Yeah, exactly.
Managed to arrive on the same planet? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Wow. What are the odds?
Of all the gin joints in all the galaxies.
So I had an experience kind of like that though. It was this lady and I were dating and we worked together, but we both took time off and we both took a trip, and we took a trip to Disney, and I'm talking from Minnesota all the way to Disney at just this odd time of the year, and so we go there and we're since we worked together, we kind of kept it hush hush about our relationship and stuff. So we were just like, hey, we're far from home. Let's just, be ourselves or whatever. And so
what happens in Disney stays in Disney.
Well, apparently not, because I ended up bumping into another coworker there. I was like, huh? So what do? You just kind of own it and whatever. And it was fine, but it was just one of those things we were trying to keep on the down low a little bit, but just, it didn't matter. We still bumped into somebody we knew from the same office that we worked in.
That's crazy.
It is. It is crazy thing.
So you guys are shaking it up, huh?
Yeah. Hey, we all thought so.
Yeah, well, confirmed.
Yeah. Gotta make a call. Be right back.
Office gossip never goes far.
I know. Guess who I bumped into? Yeah. Number 49, who are you?
Who are you?
I was chilling in a cafe several years ago when somebody I'd never seen before walked in.
Okay.
He came up to me and asked, "Are you my first name, my full name?" And I said, "Yeah." He nodded and then walked out to the store, and I never saw him again. To this day, I don't know who that was or how they knew who I was.
He's CIA.
Stalker. Could just be a stalker. I mean, I don't know.
S-T-O or S-T-A?
S-T-A-L-K.
Stalker.
Yeah, not like a guy stocking the shelves.
They're kind of stockish too.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe just a creepy guy. I don't know. That's pretty weird. This one is predicting the future. When I was about 10 years old, I had a pretty scary dream. And in this dream, my mom drowned in quicksand.
Wow.
And my little brother jumped in to save her. And in the process, he broke his arm. The next day, my little brother broke his arm. No quicksand involved, and my mom was never in danger in real life, but still, I was super freaked out by the fact that I had dreamt about my little brother's injury literally the night before. To this day, when I think about it, it gives me chills.
That's the story he told his mom after he broke his little brother's arm
Yeah.
on his bike.
No, we weren't wrestling.
No, it's not true. No,
Yeah, it was quicksand, Mom.
It was quicksand, yeah. How do you actually drown in quicksand, or do you just suffocate from like an avalanche?
I think either way, you're just not getting air because it's like mud. Imagine going into mud. And I don't know if you end up just passing out but I don't know. What a horrible, I've almost drowned before, so I know what that feels like.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Was it in the Mississippi with the eggs?
It was. No, it wasn't a fish sack. Yeah, no. No, it was just I just had a bad feeling about swimming, and my brothers were taunting me, so I just jumped in because I was a fish. I was literally swimming all the time, but I just had a bad feeling about that day, and I just wouldn't do it. And it was a hot summer day. My mom rowed us out in a rowboat off the shore, and we were jumping out. They were jumping out and climbing back in and jumping back out. It was just frolicking in the water, but I just was like, no, I can't do this. And then they were just razzing me. So finally, I'm all right, whatever. So I jumped in. And as soon as I hit the water, I didn't know how to swim. And I went down like a brick and came up and went down, and it was just all getting foggy and stuff. And then my mom was able to grab me and get me back in the boat. But it was like I was on the third surface. So, the whole thing, you come up 3 times and that's about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I came up twice. And
you were on your last bob 3.
Yeah, and it was weird because it was like I started watching someone else doing it instead of me. It was like there was this separation thing, which was really bizarre. It's like I just felt okay, and I knew that my body was just frantic, but I didn't share that panic anymore. And then suddenly, pulled up and is like, and coughing for about a
never follow the lights.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Go to the bottom.
There was. It's a Mississippi. There's no light down there. It's a big, dirty mess. Fish sacks are your worst concern. The brown sharks would surface sometimes.
G.I. Joe floated in the water.
Yeah, exactly. Along came a brown shark. Yep. So the brown sharks were the worst. Yep. I saw things float by that you wouldn't believe.
Oh, no.
Here I am swimming. Yeah.
He's doing the breaststroke.
Yeah. So if you wonder what's wrong with me, I grew up swimming in the Mississippi in the 70s.
He just said Mississippi, not Mississippi.
In the
He
Mississippi.
left off an ISS.
Oh yeah, no. You got to say it like a local. There was no environmental regulations then. Let me just say that. A lot of the toilets flushed right out to the river. So you don't want to know. All right, the next one, his guardian angel, 51. And this is not really noteworthy, but being in an apartment and doing work for school, only to receive a text to be told that my online assignment had 4 wrong answers, and just out of the blue, no contact ID or anything, hacker. I began to slightly panic and do virus checks and other safety measures. I saved my files to my cloud and reset my computer for safety. And to this day, I run a VPN and antivirus for someone to look at what you're doing and just say something in a text makes second guess how safe you are on the internet. Yeah, exactly.
You're not safe on the internet. You're just not.
No.
I don't care what you do. There's somebody that's going to get through.
Well, there's the old saying, and I was in IT for a lot of years, and they said, if someone's willing enough and determined enough, they're going to find a way.
Yep.
And that's the way it is for computers. But I will say that, a lot of companies recruited a lot of hackers to jazz up the security and work for security and governmental authorities. So it's a booming business. All right, this one is number 52, Seeing Double. When I was a freshman in high school, we had a pair of new students start who were twins. I remember both of them because while they were twins, they had a slight differences, so I could tell them apart. Anyways, a few years after high school, I get a friend request from one of them, and I was looking at her Facebook randomly one day, looking at her pictures, and didn't see any of her sister, which I thought was odd. I mentioned it to my friend, and she looked at me strangely and said, she doesn't have a twin. I asked another couple of people who went to high school with, and they all said the same thing. I have no idea what happened, and it still baffles me.
Yeah, we've
Mandela effect.
No, you think so?
I think it's possible.
Maybe a dimension shift where one twin didn't survive or
Right.
was only born, wasn't really born,
Yeah.
there was only one in that dimension.
Right.
The Mandela effect, no.
It's kind of the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
But
the idea is doing a dimensional shift.
Well, true, yeah. But I don't know. Well, we've talked about that one before, yeah.
Sure.
And that's like there. I remember when I was in kindergarten and first grade, Alicia and Trina, and they were twins, and they moved to Vancouver, BC, and so I kind of lost contact with them. But I remember them. So I very vividly remember them. And so if I ever bumped into one of them ever again and we recognized, each other or whatever, and one of them whichever one I'm talking to didn't acknowledge that there was another one, I would be freaked out.
Right. Me too.
I totally remember.
That would be one of those, you get the dizzy spell because it's like reality just flipped.
It's like, did I just roll my eyes so bad that my reality shifted?
Yeah.
There's this gal I used to work with. I swear her name was Stephanie. It wasn't. It was Aubrey.
Wow. A whole different name.
Yeah, a whole different name. I was like, what the hell's up with that?
Right.
And then everybody confirmed it. No, her name's Aubrey, not Stephanie. I'm like, no, I called her Stephanie for forever. No, her name was Aubrey. I'm like, whatever.
Well, it's Stephanie now.
It's Stephanie now. Dang it. Stephanie's her sister, but her sister wasn't a twin. So I didn't remember talking to her sister.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of similar, I guess, in some ways. All right, here's the next one, number 53. Not creepy, just a creep.
I am not.
Just the title. Just the title. I once caught my neighbor staring at me outside my bedroom window while I was straightening my hair with no trousers on.
What?
Did he not have trousers or you? Which one weren't wearing trousers?
Well, but we're not. We don't know which one was male, which one was female either.
Right. I immediately ducked under my window pane as soon as I saw him. He was legit stood in this alleyway that connects the street's back gardens, arms crossed, and there for about 15 more minutes, just staring through my window. I even got a picture of it. Pretty sure I was 15. Well, that's just all kinds of freaky weird. And unfortunately, that's not paranormal. That's just, there's some twisted souls out there. Yeah, there's just some broken people.
But then again, why is she standing there with her freaking window open?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why they make curtains and blinds and stuff. Just close your window if you're
come on.
If you're exposed. Good God. Number 54, this has ghosts written all over it. Worked as a tour guide in an old 18th century mansion with lots of unexplained things would happen quite regularly. Well, this one time while I was with some guests in the former ballroom, a little boy asked his mother, "Mommy, why are there children crying upstairs?"
Oh.
Of course, nobody else could hear it, but above us would have been the old nursery where two young girls died in the 19th century. Nursery was on the 3rd floor, and the entire level just had a real strange vibe to it. Still gives me the creeps just thinking about it.
No doubt.
Yeah. Those are the kind of things that never gets forgotten. They just resurface. This is Don't Drink and Drive. I was about 10. I saw my grandmother standing at the front door looking outside. She was talking to my dad. I couldn't see my dad's face, but he was shirtless. He had a very distinct mole in the middle of his back, so I knew it was him. He was mumbling something, and I couldn't understand. My grandmother was telling him something along the lines of, "If you love them so much, why did you go and do this?" My mom wasn't there to see this because she had left moments before after getting a call letting her know my dad had been driving drunk and hit a mule on the highway. He was in the hospital clinging to life.
Wow.
Oof. Wow. How about that, huh?
Well, yeah.
That's a lot of gravity. So was the grandmother alive or not alive, or what the hell did they see?
Well, it was probably the son coming back.
Right.
You know, his like, "Mom, I fucked up. I messed up." "Mom, I messed up." "Yeah? Well, why'd you do it?" "Well,
yeah."
You know, so it was that like almost gone, soul call, if you will.
Right.
Hey, is this so?
Yeah, it's a very strange one.
It would have been nice to know if he lived.
Right. Did he live? Was the grandmother alive?
Yeah.
Did she have this experience too, or was this just a vision, or what? I don't know. Not enough information.
Not enough, but it leaves a lot of freaking questions.
Yeah, it does. 56, pay it forward. I was driving down the freeway in a big city after work, and my car stalled in the left lane. Some guy immediately came up and offered to tow me to the next off-ramp with a tow strap. He dropped me off, and I tried giving him some money, and he declined, telling me to instead do something nice for someone else, for someone else. A week later, there was a rare downpour as I got in my car after work. 2 scruffy-looking guys came running up to me and said, "Hey, brother, we missed our bus." And he wanted to know if I could give the 2 of them a ride. This is not the best part of town, and I wouldn't have been inclined to let them in, but I remembered what that good Samaritan had told me. Pay it forward. Okay. I said, hop in. After a while, we get to an exit where they asked me to be let off, and it was the same exact spot in a city of millions of people where that other guy had unhitched my car from his truck and told me to do something nice for someone else. That's kind of cool. Is that paranormal? Well, I don't know. Maybe not, but it's still really cool. I guess the coincidental part is that it was the same ending location.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. Kind of coming full circle in a way.
There you go. Yeah.
Late Night Visitor Part 2. Oh. Where was Part 1?
Gosh.
When I was 5 years old, my mom opened the door to 2 cops who were telling her that her daughter, me, was outside alone in spring with only a t-shirt and shorts at 1 a.m.-ish. She told the cops it cannot be true. I'm in her bed right now. She comes to get me and we go to the entry. The 2 cops said the little girl knew where she was living, and that's her who said she was living at my house. The 2 cops then looked at me, creep out, and asked my name, and I have a very unique name. And when the cops took the little girl to show my mother that it wasn't a joke of some sort. The little girl entered and ran to my mom yelling, "Mommy, Mommy, it's me, Lily. My name is Livia." And I don't know how the hell she knew my name and made a nickname with it. I believe she heard the cops asking me questions when I started to cry, and eventually the cops left with the little girl. Ooh, that's so creepy. That's so creepy because what's with this little girl? And what the hell's the story? She thinks that's her mom. What if she really does? And is that another Mandela thing? Some weird dimensional shift. Like in her reality, that's her mom.
Right.
And here she is in our reality, or in this reality. And I mean, she's an orphan. Suddenly an orphan. Wow. Oh, that's a heartbreaker. I hope that's not true. I hope this is just an embellished story. They're not supposed to be embellished, but, it's the internet. So what do you do?
Yeah.
We're going to do just a couple more. 58 high stakes. I had a schnauzer that could hear a cat stalk across a Persian rug. She made a great tent companion while on backpacking trips. Bears, raccoons, and skunks would all get fair warning if they came within range of our campsite. One morning, we wake up from a night without interruption in the backcountry of southwest Colorado, and I found my tent's central guy line was no longer staked down by the aluminum stake that I had used, but instead by a piece of aspen branch that had been carved into what looked like a tiki statue. A snarling face with teeth that had been carved from the bark, and it had obviously been heated in a fire to give it a brown color. My dog didn't make a sound. I scrambled out of the tent and looked around at the small alpine lake and saw no other campers nor any sign that people had been around. Well, I cut my trip short and hauled my tail back across the 8 miles back to my car. Not a single other car in the lot at the trailhead.
Wow.
Jeez, I know we've covered that one before, but that's still a really creepy thing. I mean, I don't know what could sneak up and not alert the dog.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like some spooky stuff. All right, number 59. I think we'll stop it after this one, but we're almost done with this darn article. It says, this is listening ear. A few years ago, I was at my lowest point in life. I just couldn't imagine waking up another day. So I'd planned my ending, bought a one-way plane ticket, got medicines. On the day was to fly out to fulfill my plan. There was an accident on the freeway to the airport, and it was shut down both ways. So I drove to a nearby pub to wait out the traffic. I think we've covered this one. The second I sat down on the patio with my drink, a gentleman asked if he could sit with me. He said that he sensed I was in pain, but that I had an incredible life ahead of me, and that this was not the way my story was supposed to end. I poured my heart out to this random guy. He told me I was going to be okay tomorrow, and I believed him. I never saw him again. I don't even know his name, and I think about that guy every day, so thank you, kind stranger, for saving my life that random September day. Wow. Well, there you go. That is very, very, very cool.
Right.
Is that a guardian angel? Is that divine intervention? What do you think, Don?
Yeah, something like that. Definitely. Yeah, something like that.
I think
That's all
so
I can
too.
go. Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to know those things are out there and that they do happen. It's just the big question I have is, why doesn't that happen for everybody?
Right. Well, yeah.
What is it about these individuals that they get the intervention and some people don't? Or maybe they do and they just ignore it and go ahead anyway. I mean, that's certainly a possibility.
Well, yeah, or, something happens and they don't realize that that's what it was.
Right.
They just go, oh, well, that was weird.
Hey, nosy guy, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And they push it away. Yeah, I mean, that could be just as well, too. I don't know. It's just, I would love to think that everybody gets that chance.
Right.
And that opportunity to have someone step in and go, you know what, it's going to be okay. And ladies and gentlemen, if any of you out there are suffering from depression or anything, please reach out to somebody, find someone to talk to, and get help because, as a person who is been dealing with the suicide of someone I cared about for a lot of years, it's something you never forget. And it's something that's always painful. And so it's a torment that I wish I would never have experienced. But I just can only encourage any of you out there listening to the sound of my voice, if you need someone to talk to, find someone to talk to. There's plenty of services out there. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of people that love you that I'm sure would be happy to listen. So just find the help, because it's just it's just such a brutal scar for all of us. So just find the help. So we're going to go now to a couple Phantoms and Monsters story.
Ooh, Lon Strickler.
Lon Strickler, ladies and gentlemen, a friend of the Portal. He's been a guest on our podcast a couple of times, and just a great guy. I mean, just incredibly knowledgeable. And phantomsandmonsters.com is his site. It's an incredible site. It has his books that he's written. He's written a ton of books. And it's also links to his Phantoms and Monsters podcast, which you should check out if you like these subjects. I think you'll enjoy it. But we're going to visit a couple stories from there. The first one up has to do with a Bigfoot. And this says, panicked camper shoots Bigfoot at Desolation Wilderness, California. So it's kind of a, I don't like these kind of stories too much. But then again, fear is incredibly powerful in these events. And some people don't have any other recourse emotionally than, it's going to kill me. And so they feel that their life is in danger, and they shoot. Now, I don't know the specifics of this. I haven't pre-read it. So we're going to learn about it together. And, again, a hiker camper was in Desolation Wilderness, California, when he had a harrowing encounter with a Bigfoot at his campsite. He shot the creature with a handgun, though it didn't seem to faze it. The following account was recently forwarded to me. When I was younger, I used to go to a place called Desolation Wilderness near Camino, California. It was the perfect place for camping and fishing. Realizing that it had been a few years since my last trip, I talked to a friend of mine into going camping and fishing. We managed to talk another friend into coming with us, and then we were off. We arrived at about around 1 p.m. and decided to hike upstream from a place called Wright's Lake, and then we found a good spot that we would set up camp. After walking for a couple of hours, a ranger found us hiking and told us that we actually weren't even technically in Desolation Wilderness yet, and that we needed to keep hiking for a bit longer. Well, I started tearing down the camp, but I guess the other two guys were not as enthusiastic about the trip as I was. They left for Placerville to find a hotel room. And when they left, I hiked up a bit further, but I started to worry about the amount of time I had to find a place and set up my camp before dark. As I hiked, I tried to remember the ranger's instructions, but I ended up getting lost. Finally, I found a granite cliff with a stream that had a beautiful pool of water and was just right on the tree line. I thought it was perfect, so I set up camp and started fishing. When the sun had set and the sky was dark, I decided to go to sleep. Cozy in my sleeping bag, I started to drift off, but then I heard something growl outside of my tent. Well, I grabbed the .45 compact handgun from its case and looked down through the screen in front of the tent, and from where I was standing, I could only see a dark figure that looked around 4.5 feet tall standing near the trees. I think it was a bear, and I started yelling, hoping it would scare it away. It didn't move. I then fired a shot at the dead tree nearby. That startled it, and it ran back into the forest. But to my surprise, it didn't go very far. Well, I climbed back into my tent. And then I heard crashing sounds. It was the sounds of rocks falling off the cliff and hitting the pool below and the rocks around it. This was unnerving. I climbed out of my tent a few times, but I couldn't see anything, even though the moon was bright and the white granite rocks reflected its paleness. Crashing rocks hit every few minutes until around 2 a.m. Then it stopped. but I heard something rustling just outside of my tent. I yelled at it and tried to scare it off, but instead of scaring it, I heard a very deep growling sound in return. Well, at this point, I didn't want to wait until it got too close. So I got out of my tent and looked around. Nothing. I decided to shoot the tree again to see if the creature would react and run back into the forest again, just like the first time, but it stopped again. As I listened to the sounds of his moving, I realized that it was running on 2 feet. This was not a bear. I didn't want to go back into my tents. I grabbed my sleeping bag and moved over to the middle of the big slab of white granite nearby. I felt safer and knew the forest was further away from me, but I could still hear the noises of rocks crashing, and I prayed the sun would come up soon. At about 4:30 in the morning, I was awoken from my light sleep. I looked back at the trees, but it didn't see anything, so I looked back over at my tent, and there it was, standing at the side of my tent. I panicked, picked up my gun, and shot the side of the creature, but it didn't flinch. Then, with giant steps, it walked towards me.
Yeah.
I shot at it. I wasn't sure if a .45 would ever even stop such a beast, but it was my only hope. After the second shot rang out, it was off into the trees. Shaking like a leaf, I sat down, clutching my gun. I waited for hours until the light started to appear in the sky. I broke camp and headed back down to Wright's Lake, and that was the last time I saw the creature. But that was also the last time I went to the Desolation Wilderness, and I will never go back.
Probably not.
Yeah. Obviously, the growling is gotta be, I know what the growling sounds like if indeed what I was close to is the same thing. And it's the most terrifying sound I've ever heard in my life. But, man, he's lucky because I think you definitely run the risk of provoking them.
Right.
Just by popping shots off, like.
Well, and if he takes one, he takes a shot and then possibly takes another. It was the second one that chased him off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I wonder what happened to him, though.
Yeah. Well, and that's the sad part is that I don't know that these things all really have an understanding of the gravity of the situation, especially if somebody has a gun. But
right.
I mean, even people with large guns are like, I don't think my gun would have done anything, just because of the sheer size.
Didn't Terry say, or Carrie say that as well?
Yeah, he had a shotgun, I think. Yeah,
he said, I don't think my gun would have done anything.
Yeah, I mean, he was turkey hunting, so I don't know. It was probably some form of bird shot. I mean, they don't use slugs, do they?
No,
yeah.
You can't do that.
So, but even then, I don't know. It's got to be a horrible feeling and a helpless feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, what if it's did hurt the thing and then it was forever wounded and,
right, exactly. Yeah.
Got some infections or something. You never know, but. I hope not. I hope it was okay, and I hope...
it's a coin toss at that point. It's like coin toss. Oh, my gosh.
I heard coin toss, too. I was like, what?
So, but, what do? You've got to protect yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's walking towards him.
Yes.
So...
Yeah, that's a very aggressive thing after you've already shot it once.
Well, there is a certain amount of, you kind of deserved it, to a point, but... Come on, let's be real. I mean, it's a fight or flight thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know that I would have chosen anything different, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to sit on the outside looking in, going,
he shot it. He was bastard. Shot him.
Yeah, you had it coming. Should have snapped your neck or something, or well, you should have just emptied the clip. I mean, those are the two options that you have.
Empty that freaking gun.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I can't imagine. I just know. The only barometer I have personally is just the feeling that I had when I was 14, and it was so terrified. I just couldn't turn around, Don. I just couldn't.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because I was just so convinced that I was about to die, and I don't know. I mean, even if I'd had a gun, I don't think that I'd ever. Well, I'm going to turn around and start dumping rounds because you're just not in control of the situation.
Well, and Wonder Woman says, remember, they have friends too.
That's the other part of it. That's true.
It's kind of like messing with the burrito, right?
Yeah. What is the rest of that?
I'm not going to say it. It's actually off color, I suppose.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to move to another one from Phantoms and Monsters, and this has to do with Dogman. And we don't get a lot of these reports, so I love that Lon's network of people are so into the Dogman as well. He's got some people that are investigating reports directly. And so this is called Second Upright Dogman Report from San Bernardino County, California. And, I got to say that San Bernardino is not where you'd really think that a dogman would be. But I guess they can be wherever the hell they choose.
That's true.
A San Bernardino, California resident recalls a sighting of a cryptid canine in the area near his home. This is a follow-up to a recent post, and he also mentioned a conversation he had with a Serrano native. I recently received the following report in response to upright dogman twice encountered by San Bernardino County realtor. I just read about the realtor that had saw a werewolf in San Bernardino, California. I saw a dogman in the North Verdamont area of Devore, California. Yeah.
Devour.
In 1998. I grew up there, and I personally know others who had seen the same creature in the same general area. It's not a hoax. Anyone who lived in that area for a long time could tell you that they either experienced or heard stories of strange things roaming around the wilderness. At that time, it was still very rural and underdeveloped. I had a conversation with a native man from the San Manuel tribal band of Mission Indians, the Yahat Vietnam clan of Maarayam, Serrano peoples. He told me that he believed it may have been a medicine man from his tribe, and that we were lucky to have ever seen the creature, as many other of their people have only ever heard stories and never seen one for themselves. I was 13 or 14 years old at the time, and that night my band played a Battle of the Band show at the Showcase Theater in Corona. When we came home from the show, I went to the side of the house near a shed to take a leak and smoke a cigarette, but that I had stashed. Okay. Cigarette butt that I had stashed. Okay, got it. I looked out into the field and gazed upon the trees and familiar scenery that I've known my whole life. I know the landscape perfectly. But one thing was out of place, and at first I couldn't tell what it was that I was seeing. What I saw was what appeared to at first be a man walking and then running through the field on the side of my parents' house in the early AM hours, maybe 1 or 2 a.m. This was extremely out of the ordinary for the time and place. No one would ever be out there. Its movement didn't look normal. Its legs were funny. Then I noticed it had the head of a dog, like a coyote or a German shepherd. I was heading north towards the mountains with the strange... I guess it was heading north towards the mountains with the strangest movements. I can't describe it. It just didn't look natural. Eventually, I was out of my view, and I can't remember if I heard any sound from it running. Good night, buddy. If I heard any sound of it running, it was far enough away that I don't recall how it sounded. I just can't forget how strange it looked when it was running or galloping. Not sure that there's a word to best describe its movement. Well, that's my story and exactly how it happened. So I absolutely believe the realtor. By P.S. Very interesting. And again, I don't know. Is it a? There's reports of skinwalkers taking on the form of wolves or coyotes as well. And sometimes I wonder, what are these? Are these truly their own thing, or could some of these cases just be some form of skinwalker or a shapeshifter or something? And I don't know. I just don't know, but I know that that's one of those things that I definitely don't want to see. I just definitely don't want to see it. So I don't know what you guys think, but the dog man to me is pretty terrifying. You be the judge. We don't cover a lot of dogman stories because, quite honestly, they're not as easy to come by. Like Bigfoot stories, there's quite a few of them out there, but dogman stories are, here and there, and then they're in certain networks of people. And apparently I'm invited to that network. But I love to talk to witnesses, and that's one other thing I want to go over here on the show before we're done. And this is something I've been working on, and I finally got it done. And I think this will be good going forward, just to help organize things and to help keep things working real well. Let me pull it up first, because, and this is something I talked about on the last show too. This is what I'm going to show you is paranormalportal.net. And this is the homepage for all things Paranormal Portal. So if you're looking for our different social media sites, whether it's Paranormal Portal Radio on Facebook or our YouTube or whatever, this is where you're going to find it. Let me blow this up a little bit, because got to make it big enough so people can see. All right, so let me pull it up and then look at the OBS to make sure it's all visible. So this is paranormalportal.net. On the top of the site, these are all the links to our social media. So if you're interested in checking it out, they're just one click away up here. This, of course, is just the big hero image at the top. And then here's the sections. Now, the timer's missing because the timer ran out. It disappears automatically. I'll reset it for the next live stream after we're done here. This is the part that I want to talk to you about. This is the Paranormal Portal podcast. And this quick explanation of what the podcast is, where to find it, and all of that. But this is the part that I just added, and this is to be a guest on the podcast. Click the button below, and this says interview me.
Interview me. Me.
So if you click interview me, what you get is this.
Oh.
And this opens up a calendar app that ties right to my Gmail.
Oh.
And people can reserve their own times. Let's say you wanted to be interviewed tomorrow. Click on the 12th. And you got time slots here that you can pick from where I am available to do interviews.
Can I make a suggestion right there?
No, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, you should close out the week when on Monday, so like on the 16th, you should close out the rest of the week and then leave it open for the weeks after that. So you have plenty of time to look at it and get it scheduled and get it in your head and in your calendar. You know what I mean?
No, I don't understand.
Okay, I'll talk about it later.
Okay, but anyway, this is a real quick way to do it. Let's say you want to interview at 10 a.m., then you can confirm here, and it'll bring up another screen where you can give more information, and then I will get an email automatically that tells me that I have an appointment scheduled, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a way to streamline some of this, because I'm not the most organized person, in case you weren't aware. So this is an opportunity to help me organize interviews. I know in the past I've missed some, and just because my prior organization was little pieces of paper and they get misplaced, and then I'm digging for them. Yeah, I still have sticky notes everywhere and piles of them here and there. But I just thought, I would feel terrible if I miss, and I have felt terrible when I've missed them in the past. So this is my opportunity to let you pick your time that I'm available. And if you do, then we'll get in contact. We'll connect via whatever medium we choose, and we can make the interview happen. But so that's paranormalportal.net. And I think it's a good addition. I hope it's a good addition. I hope you guys all agree. What the hell am I doing? I must have closed it by accident. When I did the calendar app, it must have closed it. But anyway, that's paranormalportal.net. Check it out. And if you want to be a guest on the show, please do. I'd love to talk to you. Love to have you be a part of the podcast. And our podcast is released every Monday. So wherever you listen to podcasts, wherever you listen to like Sasquatch Chronicles or The Confessionals or any number of podcasts, just do a search for Paranormal Portal, and we should be there as well. I don't know how many episodes we have now. Do you?
How many podcast episodes?
Yeah, total.
4 seasons.
It's like 260 or 70 now.
154 just in the first year.
Right, so yeah.
It's 2 years since then, so yeah, getting close to 400.
Yeah, 300 maybe. I don't know. Somewhere in there, but we got a lot of them, and it's an entirely different show than what you're watching now. This is just our live stream, kind of our variety show for the Paranormal Portal, where we cover all the different stuff and topics and such. But it's just our our other show. It is really a much bigger show than this YouTube show. The YouTube show is quite small, and it's really tough. It's really tough to get noticed on YouTube, man. We've been grinding it away for several years now, and it's still growing. And special thank you to all of you who have helped that. And but the podcast is really our crowning achievement so far.
We're coming up on 6 years.
Yeah, for the show. Yeah.
For me being on the show, and
yep, 7 total for me then coming up on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a long haul, and it's been a wonderful journey though. So these are just ways to try to help make it a little easier. I do want to tell you, those of you that are YouTube members, coming up soon, you're going to have early access to a little film that I'm putting together. I've been working on it for a while now that deals with some prior investigations. And I'm really kind of excited about it. So I'm going to give you guys like a week early access to it if you're a member on the YouTube channel, because it's just another perk. And there's going to be more of those coming out as well from other investigations that I've done.
No, the unknown, the podcast. The podcast is totally different. I just realized my microphone was off. The podcast is totally different. It's a totally different show.
This is not the podcast. The podcast is audio only. So you'll like the next one. I'm interviewing Scott Carpenter. That'll be out on Monday. And I mean, it's just an audio platform, much like Sasquatch Chronicles.
But we have used
YouTube
episodes as episodes of podcasts, but it's not normally that way.
No, it's just if we happen to have a guest on an interview here, then we'll oftentimes port that over to our podcast. But the podcast is available on iHeart, iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Castbox, and a whole bunch of others. So there's lots of platforms where you can find it. So if you have a podcast platform that you listen to, maybe right through your phone.
The unknown, it's all on demand, brother. It doesn't matter what time it is. It's not a live show.
Yeah, it's not a live show. Yeah. It's just all on demand. So they're all pre-recorded. So you won't catch a live podcast episode happening. The only live episodes are here on YouTube, and this is just our YouTube stream, our live stream. So it's not the podcast generally, but as Don mentioned, we do sometimes use YouTube episodes for podcast episodes, but they're not the same animal. So, but again, special thank you to everybody. I see when you're linking episodes and you're linking back to us. Especially Jaron and Roman have been doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Yep. We really appreciate the boost.
Yep.
And it helps. I mean, the more people that become aware of what we're doing, the more we can do. You know, this is largely a labor of love, you know, but we want to expand our horizons and do more things like more investigations and stuff. But it really requires a lot more of us to do that. So
yeah, it does.
Mostly financially. So, and unfortunately I'm not a man of huge means. So, we do what we can when we can. And, but any help you can give us in leading people towards us, letting people know that we're out here doing this.
King of the road. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Random much?
Yes, all the time.
So anyway, that's going to about wrap up our journey tonight. I don't really have much left to fill in for the last couple minutes, but oh yeah, we can talk about Teespring, another way to help support the show. You're right. Let me pull this up. This is our Paranormal Portal gear shop. If you're interested in helping support us this way, I will put this over here.
Yes, because my gear shops.
Your gear shops, my shopped gear. There it is. And then I'm going to stretch it out. So this is Teespring.com or Teespring. It's paranormal-portal.creator.spring.com. The link is in the description of the video. But if you go there, you'll see this. And here's some Paranormal Portal gear that you may want. You might want to check it out. You might want to purchase it and wear it and help to spread the word this way. There's all kinds of designs, and there's more designs that'll be coming eventually. I keep meaning to work on that. I know Donna's working on some.
Yeah, I need to go parse that down and then.
Yeah. So, but there's all kinds of options here. There's mugs, there's stickers, there's the rocker collection. This has been probably our most famous.
Yeah.
This was Don's design, his own personal design.
It was Brent's inspiration.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, you're the one who said that would be really cool, and I went ahead and did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we did it together then.
There you go.
It was our design, but Don actually did it. So, and it looks really nice. It's got a front and back that are really cool. There's a black-eyed kid.
Oh, Maggie, you bought a bucket hat, didn't you? How does it look good?
Does it look good?
Does it look good?
It says Paranormal Portal on the chest here, and then on the back is the rocker. So hopefully you guys will check it out and help support us this way. That means a lot. I don't like to ask so much, and I'm sorry that we do. We oftentimes don't put this on the main shows, but it really is a huge way to help us out and to help the show grow and to help us be able to do more if you're able. I know that times are tough for a lot of people, so I totally get it. Those of you that do give and help support us, thank you so much. Those of you that don't or are unable to, don't worry about it. Just come and join the streams, like the streams, put it out in your social media that these shows are going on. Share. Yeah, and that's a huge way to help support us.
But I'll also tell you a secret. If you use the promo code OURFRIENDS, OUR, our friends, you'll get 15% off your order.
15%?
That's like a whole nother shirt.
That's amazing. So anyway, folks, we hope you've enjoyed yourself, and thank you so much for coming out and being a part of our journey. As always, Brent asked Scott Carpenter about his discovery of the Bigfoot living inside of the city limits along Greenbelt Parkway. Well, that interview is already over.
As a matter of fact, I'm editing it as we speak.
Yeah, Don's been working on it, but I'll have him back on, and hopefully I'll remember about this because, it's only an hour episode, so there's only so much time, and we did discuss some pretty fantastic things. So it's going to be a great interview, and I hope you guys will check it out.
Maggie, there actually are Paranormal Portal panties, but I can't put them out. I can't distribute them. They're inappropriate. What? I showed you that mock-up I did, didn't I? Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah.
Totally.
There's some places the word portal fits, and some places not as much. That's all I'm going to say. Some places it just kind of comes off as a kind of crude and base, but
very base.
So, and then if you had paranormal in front of that, I mean, it just...
There's a portal there.
There's all kinds of innuendo, and I don't know. I mean, we've had leggings that said Paranormal Portal down the leg and stuff. Those were kind of cool.
Oh, here they are. Here it is. Here, look.
What? Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Don did the Longbeard collection. That's right. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Don, just for the record, nobody wants a long beard in their crotch.
I thought it was a great idea.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think I need a shower.
That's $5. For $5, I will send you that picture. You can send it to my PayPal.
Yeah, there's no words Paranormal Portal on that, are there?
No.
Okay, thank God.
It does have my double O's on it, though.
Well, there you go, folks. I don't know what else we can do to brutalize this episode, so I think this is where we're going to call it quits. What? Monster thong. Oh my God. All right. Well, that's I guess we get all that's left now is just a flush. So good night, everybody.
You need a flushing sound effect.
Love you all.
Well, this just went down
down the toilet. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And
just listen to the show.
Just listen to the show.
Cleansing breath. Yes, thank you, Rachel.
Oh my God, I got chills after seeing that again.
I told you. Good night.
I know. Good night, everybody.